In the world of televangelism, few names carry the weight that the Swaggart family does. From the pulpit of Family Worship Center to the global reach of Son Life Broadcasting Network, the Swaggarts have spent decades preaching the gospel, collecting donations, and cultivating a massive media empire. But behind the anointed microphones and polished sermons lies a deeply complex and controversial family saga, and Donnie Swaggart, the only son of Jimmy and Frances Swaggart, stands at the heart of one of its most puzzling chapters. Why did Donnie Swaggart divorce his wife only to remarry her and then leave her again? And was their son Gabriel Swaggart the reason for the first marital rupture? This 5,000+ word expose will take you deep inside the labyrinth of speculation, silence and family drama that has left followers stunned and critics raising their eyebrows. Act 1. The golden son of a controversial dynasty. Donnie Swaggart was born into evangelical royalty. As the heir apparent to the Jimmy Swaggart Ministries JSM empire, his path seemed clear from the start. Raised in a household where God's name echoed louder than anyone else's, Donnie learned the tools of the ministry from a young age, preaching, performing and passionately defending his father's vision. Donnie married Debbie Swaggart, a quiet but dedicated woman who stood by him through the early stages of ministry. Together, they became the next generation of the Swaggart legacy, raising 3 children, Gabriel, Matthew and Jennifer. Gabriel would eventually rise as the public face of the youth movement at JSM, Crossfire, and become a preacher in his own right. But behind closed doors, things weren't always as perfect as they seemed. Act 2. The first divorce. A shocking split. In the early 2000s, whispers began to circulate in the evangelical world. Donnie and Debbie were no longer together. The divorce sent shockwaves through the Pentecostal community. No public explanation was ever given, and JSM remained eerily silent. Was it due to infidelity, a crisis of faith, or something deeper? Some insiders began to speculate that Donnie's desire for independence clashed with Debbie's more traditional, home-centered values. Others believed that the pressure of maintaining a perfect ministry image cracked the foundation of their marriage. However, a darker theory emerged, one that involved their son, Gabriel. Act 3. Gabriel Swaggart, the son between two storms. Gabriel Swaggart was a young man full of potential. Talented, charismatic, and equipped with his father's vocal authority, Gabriel was poised to become the next Swaggart star. But insiders have hinted at a moment of deep tension between Donnie and Debbie over how Gabriel's future should be shaped. Some say Donnie wanted to push Gabriel faster and harder into ministry, while Debbie believed he needed more time and freedom. One former associate, who spoke under anonymity, claimed that Donnie's obsession with molding Gabriel into a replica of himself created ongoing tension in the home. Could this tug-of-war have fractured their marriage beyond repair? Was the family breaking apart under the weight of legacy? Act 4. The second marriage. Donnie's new wife enters the picture. In a stunning twist, Donnie remarried, but not to Debbie. A mysterious new woman entered the picture. Details about her remain sparse. Her name was never officially released by JSM, and she was rarely seen on broadcasts. Rumors swirled. She was younger, quieter, and possibly from outside the ministry world altogether. Many wondered, did Donnie seek an escape from the high expectations and complex family dynamics of the Swaggarts? But the second marriage didn't last long. Act 5. The return to Debbie. Redemption or reputation control. In a jaw-dropping move, Donnie left his second wife and remarried Debbie. What prompted this about-face? Some say love rekindled. Others whisper that Frances Swaggart herself stepped in behind the scenes, demanding the reunion to restore the Swaggart image. After all, the ministry was built on strong family values, and a second failed marriage would have fueled even more public scandal. Donnie and Debbie's reunion was subtle but firm. They reappeared together on broadcasts. No mention was made of the split. The past was swept under the altar. Act 6. Frances Swaggart's silent role. According to one longtime ministry volunteer, Frances Swaggart may have played a much larger role than anyone realizes. She's the matriarch. Nothing happens without her knowing or approving, the source said. Frances has remained mostly silent about Donnie's marital saga, but many believe her influence helped guide him back to Debbie for the sake of the ministry's image. If Frances did intervene, was it for the sake of God, family, or donations? Act 7. The fallout. Unanswered questions and lingering tension. Despite the restoration, many in the church remain unsettled. What happened to the second wife? Why is Gabriel so protected and spotlighted? Did Donnie's decisions weaken the credibility of JSM, or simply humanize the family behind the gospel curtain? There are still no public answers. The Swaggarts have not commented. No formal acknowledgement has ever been made about Donnie's second wife, or the timeline of events. Was it all a calculated cover-up, or is it just another chapter in the flawed lives of powerful people? Final thoughts, what the church won't say aloud. The story of Donnie Swaggart's marriages is more than tabloid gossip. It reflects the immense pressure placed on religious leaders to maintain perfection, even when their private lives crumble. In a world where image is everything and donations depend on faith, the Swaggarts continue to operate behind a veil of sanctity. But the cracks in the glass are becoming harder to ignore. And maybe, just maybe, the people deserve to know the truth. Stay tuned, this story isn't over. More voices are beginning to speak. More secrets may be uncovered. Will Donnie ever address it publicly? Will Gabriel carry the weight of family legacy built on silence and sacrifice? Only time and truth will tell. Donnie Swaggart's marriage timeline, a mess hidden from the public. Donnie Swaggart first married Debbie, a beautiful and graceful woman who stood by his side as he carried on the family legacy. Their marriage appeared solid, blessed, and unshakable. The couple was often featured on television broadcasts, smiling in harmony, ministering together, and showcasing the perfect Christian marriage. But everything wasn't as it seemed. Behind the scenes, tensions had already begun to rise. According to close insiders at Family Worship Center, Donnie began to experience a deep spiritual and emotional disconnect. The pressure of being the heir to Jimmy Swaggart's legacy, the unrelenting expectations from followers, and the eyes of millions constantly watching, began to take a toll. Donnie, known for his fiery sermons, was battling demons of his own. Then came the split. Donnie and Debbie divorced, a move that shocked followers and rocked the ministry. Rumors flew. Whispers of infidelity, power struggles, and hidden betrayals echoed through the ministry hall. But the biggest whisper? Gabriel. Was Gabriel Swaggart born into a scandal? Here's where things take a dark and twisted turn. Gabriel Swaggart, now a key preacher at JSM and heir to the empire, has always presented himself as a faithful man of God. But some former employees and former ministry associates have suggested that Gabriel's birth and early upbringing were marred by a power struggle within the Swaggart home. There's speculation that Gabriel's conception, and even his role in the ministry, may have played a key role in Donnie's original decision to divorce Debbie. Sources close to the family say that Donnie felt manipulated, cornered into a marriage that served the ministry's image more than his personal truth. One retired elder, who asked to remain anonymous, stated, "There was pressure on Donnie to maintain the Swaggart name, to carry on the legacy." Debbie's pregnancy with Gabriel came at a time when Donnie was spiritually lost, torn between rebellion and loyalty. Could Gabriel's birth have been used to cement an image of unity, when behind closed doors, everything was falling apart? Donnie's second marriage, a mystery woman and a messy exit. Following his divorce from Debbie, Donnie shocked the church by remarrying. This time, it was to a woman outside the known Swaggart circle. Her identity was kept mostly private, but those close to the family recall her as strong-willed, independent, and unwelcome by the ministry's inner circle. This second marriage was brief, turbulent from the start. There was tension between Frances Swaggart and her new daughter-in-law. Donnie was reportedly caught in the middle, struggling between his mother's towering presence and his new wife's independence. It didn't last long. After only a short time, Donnie filed for divorce again. He returned to Debbie, the woman he once walked away from, and the reunion stunned everyone. But why? Why go back? Frances Swaggart's influence, a mother's control or a ministry's strategy? One of the most controversial theories comes from former insiders who suggest that Frances Swaggart, matriarch of the Swaggart Empire, played a central role in orchestrating Donnie's return to Debbie. Frances didn't just run the ministry, she ran the family. If she felt someone was damaging the image, she acted. She didn't care if it was Donnie, Gabriel, or Jimmy himself. This paints a powerful and troubling picture of manipulation. Was Donnie simply a pawn? Was his second marriage sabotaged to protect the image of a perfect united ministry family? Sources say Frances feared losing donations and respect if the ministry's inner circle appeared fractured. Returning to Debbie would restore the family image, protect Gabriel's reputation, and reassure their elderly followers who had grown up believing in the Swaggart family's perfection. The return, a public act with private pain. When Donnie and Debbie reunited, it was celebrated publicly. They resumed ministry duties together. Debbie was reinstated as First Lady of the Family Worship Center. Donnie returned to his pulpit with a renewed spirit. But behind that polished performance, former staffers say Donnie struggled deeply. One described him as a man constantly torn between his mother's empire and his own soul. He never looked peaceful. He looked like he was surviving. Gabriel's rise, redemption or replacement. Today Gabriel Swaggart is the face of the next generation at JSM. But was his rise organic or calculated? With Donnie's struggles well known behind closed doors, some believe Gabriel was groomed early on to take over. His youth, charisma and clean image were the perfect antidote to the chaos surrounding his parent. Was this Francis's plan all along? Use Gabriel as the future, Donnie as the bridge, and erase the woman Donnie dared to love in between? More secrets still hidden. The story of Donnie Swaggart's marriages is not just about love and divorce, it's about legacy, it's about control, it's about the terrifying cost of public image inside a powerful religious empire. Was Donnie ever truly free to choose? Or was every step, even his return to Debbie, scripted for the benefit of the cameras, the congregation, and the bank account? One former financial administrator at JSM claimed, "Everything was calculated, everything was about how it looked on TV. Even family drama was just another production." As more former insiders speak out, one thing becomes clear: Gabriel's birth may have been more than a personal moment. It may have been the trigger that forced Donnie into a life he never chose. Coming next, a former staffer breaks silence, the truth about what happened the night Donnie walked out. And another shocking leak: was Francis Swaggart spying on Donnie's second? Stay tuned.